Yes.
You are known for doing these big booming voices on some of these really tall, muscular characters, like Louis Armstrong and the Robot Samurai and Samurai 7, something like that.
Kikacho and Samurai 7.
Yeah, that one. But I think some of my favorite roles that you've done are some of the more serious or dramatic ones, like Speed Rapper and Mr. Braun and Steingate, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if you had a choice, which kind of roles would you prefer to do? The ones that are more dramatic and serious and softer, or these sort of comic, big, booming sort of things?
If I had to choose between like big, boomy voices and kind of soft, introspective kind of stuff, I would choose the soft, introspective stuff for two reasons. One, it doesn't hurt as much. And secondly, I'm not as good at it as I am the big, boomy, screamy stuff. So it is a bit more of a challenge to me to do that. And here's a secret, I'm not gonna recommend it, and your optometrist will probably not recommend it, but whenever I have to do a role like Roy in Salty Ray, or a character that has to cry or something like that, I don't really cry that much because I'm really tough. And actually crying on command, they call it waterworks in film. Some girls, and some guys even, really good actors can instantly turn on tears and stuff like that. I can't do that. So when I'm recording in the booth, I will push my finger into my eye until it really hurts. And it kind of distracts me just enough to not be as self-conscious about being, it doesn't make me cry, but it hurts. And I think less about what the process of trying to sound sad. It kind of throws me off my entire game. It's just a weird trick. I'm not saying that that's a good idea to hurt your eye. Please don't try it, or blame me for it if you do. I only do it with adult supervision. Hey Mom, is this right? Yes.
So what was it like voice acting work in Cable Wars and moving into video games and stuff?
Okay, so I worked for Funimation forever, and then I finally started my own company called Okratron 5000. We're in Dallas as well. And we still do a lot of contract work for Funimation. But I opened that company because as much as I like anime, I love video games. I adore video games. So I grew up and I played video games when I was a kid. My dad was kind of a gamer, a very early form of a gamer. But he had to game vicariously through us. He would buy us Ataris and televisions and go, why don't you go in there and play that thing? Why don't you go play that and I'll watch you play that thing, right now. And my dad would play, he'd play shooters I'm trying to think of you name it, any shooter, yeah, but he would, actually I'm talking about some of the mid-90s kind of video game type stuff, like Doom and Quake and Half-Life and stuff. And my dad's method of playing first-person shooters was funny. He would take 2 steps and save. He'd walk to the door, save. He'd walk past the door, save. He'd shoot someone, save. He had thousands of save games because he was very cautious about his shooters. Anyhow, he also, I guess, was probably about as good as I was at them. Let's see, who has I not called upon yet? You, Trunks impersonator.
Okay. What is your favorite Vegeta line ever?
Vegeta line, favorite.
Because I would like to know, so
my favorite Vegeta line ever is, "Servant woman, bring me a drying cloth at once!" That or, "Men in pink, how bizarre!"
And I just want to say thank
the
you.
sexist lines, I guess. I'm a terrible person. I just realized that.
I just want to say thank you for listening to my Trunks impression. I didn't even know I was doing Trunks until you said something. Because I thought I was doing Vegeta at first, but thank you so much.
Oh yeah, she said, "Hey, you want to hear my Vegeta impression?" And it sounded exactly like Trunks. I'm like, that's an awesome Trunks impression. But it's okay, it's the same family. You're just not a dude. That would help. It would, actually it wouldn't help. Be who you are and do Trunks' voice. Don't go changing anything on me. Yes, Lupin.
How do you prepare yourself for doing the long power-up scenes in Dragon Ball Z?
I prepare myself first by a long string of swearing to myself. Then I complain about it, and then I write an email to someone about how I have to do something I don't want to do, and then I just do it. I mean, you just do it. As I told you guys earlier, I studied opera at the University of North Texas, and I told another panel all about this, but I went to school to do that. I had a scholarship at UNT to study opera, and I realized that I didn't want to do that at all. But the one good thing that I got out of the department is I don't know, I guess I must have learned how to preserve my voice, because I've never really lost it. And so I do try to use methods when I'm screaming to not hurt myself, like use as much breath as possible. I know when it's about to go. It doesn't always work, but it works more so than others. The worst part about Dragon Ball Z screaming is when you're doing a long one, you think you're doing really well on it, and you're like, ah! And you hold it forever, and then it finally disappears, and you're like, yes! And you take a breath, and then it just cuts right back to it. It's like, ah! Like, it never ended. That happened so many times. So many times. Finally, like in Kai, they fixed that. I think that someone was like, why did we ever do that in the first place? Let's cut that out. You over there.
What's your favorite line as Alex?
Alice Louise Armstrong. Let's see, I'm trying to think of favorite lines from Alex Louise Armstrong. All of Alex Louise Armstrong's were pretty much the same. It was this is the something fill in the blank that has been passed down the Armstrong line for generations. There's also, I'm trying to think. There you go. Sparkles is another one. I don't know if he ever really said that. What? I don't like that line. What line? What line was that? Edward Elric is what I heard in my ear. Edward Elric. The guy who does the Japanese voice of Alex Louise Armstrong, I want to meet him so badly because I have dubbed over his voice so many times. Because this guy sounds like this all the time. And that's why I got cast as Garland in Final Fantasy. Because the producers at Square Enix I had worked with on some of the Full Metal Alchemist titles, he remembered that I had done the voice of Alex Louise Armstrong, and the Japanese voice of Garland plays Alex Louise Armstrong, and so did I, so they let me do that. And that was awesome. I'm so glad that that happened. Because they flew me to California, and it was awesome, and they had the sessions were super long and cold. And we were in this recording booth that literally, I think they had stored Walt Disney's body like 2 feet below me. It's just so cold. Yes, I'm just gonna keep your hand from hurting.
As far as Sergeant Frog goes, because the humor was so different in that show from like pretty much any other anime that I've ever seen, did it like come out immediately in the script how different the humor was, or was it all in delivery?
Oh no, you're talking about the humor in Sergeant Frog. The thing that I've talked about Sergeant Frog before with a lot of people. It's my favorite Japanese anime comedy in that it's so universal. It's almost like almost like Looney Tunes to some degree, where anyone could watch that. I have a 2-year-old daughter at home, and as soon as she stops watching Pocoyo, which might be never, I'm going to introduce her to Sergeant Frog, because there's nothing really that inappropriate about that show at all. I think the situations are very
I would interject Wet Hot Beaches.
Oh, okay, Wet Hot Beaches. That might be. Yeah, there were a couple moments, but still, I think the humor in Sergeant Frog just translates really well, no matter what language it's in. It's pretty funny, and I'm very excited for her to watch that. And I'm going to push her to watch it. And I'm going to push her to like all the things that I like. And I'm already saying, hey, sweetheart, you're really getting fat. I'm really a great father. No, I love my daughter. Yes, Kat. Kurama. Kubar, favorite scene. I love when he meets Yukina for the first time. And I love let's see. My favorite line of Kubar's is the best line because it's like the most unnecessary line of any line I've ever spoken. I'm Kubar and I have a sword. Sweet. Thanks for that information. We saw that. And then his special skill was sword get longer. Seriously, I get it. Right behind her. As Gyuro? Man, I need to see, there's certain people who are really good at memorizing lines. I am terrible at memorizing lines. And so I'm really awful at memorizing lines. I just can't do it. So let me think on that, or if you have one, I'll say it. Natsumi, my love! I love you a lot. Anyway, frog. Okay. Oh, by the way, my Achilles heel is saying Giro, 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 Giro really fast. It's really hard to say that. Everyone, Giro, 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 Giro. Like, if you say it really fast, it starts to sound like the word earwig. Like, Giro, 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 Giro. Anyway, anyway. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. You.
Was it difficult for you to play Vegeta in the first Broly film? Because he kind of sucked the whole time.
Vegeta in the first Broly film, him being a complete dork, like him, I think he was doing his Yamcha cosplay during that movie. Oh man, maybe I'm not strong enough. No, yeah, I didn't like that. I wasn't a big fan of that movie for that reason, actually. I like it when Vegeta's awesome. Yes. What got me interested in opera was the fact that somebody said, we'll pay you money to go to our school if you sing opera. And I was always involved in everything in high school, so I was really into choir and drama and band and everything. Student council. I was a huge dork in high school, like major one. Like if you saw the movie Rushmore, that movie is about my life. It's 100% about me. But I haven't really used opera that much. Occasionally, I suppose the only other time I've even used it in any sort of professional sense would be on Italia. And because I played Grandpa Rome in Italia, and they had me sing those goofy songs. I love that guy. He just pops up, sings a ridiculous song. Listen as I tell you what hell should be, and then disappears. That's cool.